Hi everybody. The topic of the day today is Fiano. Fiano is an Italian white grape and it's a very old grape variety from the area of Italy called Campania. And it's actually thought to be from the Roman times. Some people even think as far back as the Greeks. So it really is one of the older grape varieties from Italy, which is kind of ironic because actually it isn't something that is produced in huge yields. It's actually a very low yielding grape. And that's why during the 20th century, it became a less and less grown grape in the sense that producers decided to plant other varieties instead of Fiano that would produce more wine so they could make more money, obviously. Now, with that said, there were some real pioneers of Fiano that helped it reach international fame and success. And one of those really important winemakers during the 20th century was Antonio Mastroberardino. So Mastroberardino, he started cultivating and really expanding Fiano plantings in Fiano Avellino region. So Avellino is an appellation within Campania. And what he did was he just started to really work on producing quality Fiano. And that was an amazing thing because by the 1980s, there was very few plantings of Fiano left. But what he did was he managed to get Fiano to DOC status. So the first Fiano DOC appellation was in 1978. And that was through the work of people like Antonio Mastroberardino, who were producing great quality Fiano in Avellino. And then following that, because Fiano just became better and better, in 2003, Fiano di Avellino became a DOCG. So hopefully I've not confused things too much, but basically what I'm saying is that Fiano di Avellino is a really great example of Fiano and is DOCG. That's not to say you can't still get Fiano DOC from other areas. You can. But that's a really significant winemaker that you should remember in relation to this grape because he really made a big difference to where it is today and where it stands today. So what is the grape actually like? Well, Fiano is quite an oily texture when as a wine. So it has quite a rich oily texture on the palate. It can be quite varied in terms of the flavours. It would always be quite ripe fruit flavours, stone fruits, and sometimes tropical fruits like mango and pineapple. But also it can have some quite green flavours and aromas and also nutty as well. So I'm thinking pine nuts, hazelnuts, and in terms of green notes, I'm thinking of herbaceous notes like maybe basil. There are actually some wine critics that have gone to the extreme of saying that drinking Fiano is like drinking pesto in a bottle. And I assume they're talking about green pesto because we're talking about, like I say, basil. And in terms of the nutty notes, it's like pine nuts, which I always think of that in association with green pesto. So that's just something to look out for if you have never tried Fiano before. If you are able to find Fiano di Avellino, that would be a really good one to really see the grape at its kind of highest quality. But if not, just look for Fiano DOC. There's a lot of Fiano DOC available on the international market. Certainly in the UK, I've worked in bars before where we had Fiano on the wine list. In terms of other countries that produce Fiano, as I say, there isn't that much Fiano grown internationally, probably partly due to the fact it is a low yielding grape, but there is some Fiano plantings in Australia and also in Argentina as well. Within Italy, there is Fiano at all levels, like I said. There is DOC Fiano, there's DOCG, but there is also IGT Fiano as well. And depending on what appellation Fiano is grown in, it sometimes can be the minor percentage of a blend, where there might like only be about 20% of it in there. But in some DOCs, Fiano must be the dominant grape, so that might be 85% minimum, or maybe a bit less, maybe 70%. You really have to just check with each DOC. But I really love Fiano because I think that there are so many people that love the usual international grape varieties like Sauvignon and Pinot Grigio and Chardonnay, you know, the usual ones. But I think if you're really looking to branch out and try something a bit different but similar, I would really try Fiano, just to try something a bit alternative. I mean, a lot of the components that I was saying yesterday about Viognier actually are similar to Fiano. I was saying about how Viognier has quite an oily texture, same as Fiano. And so there are sometimes parallels between different grape varieties. So if you find one that you like, you should always try and find an alternative that might be the same but slightly different. Now, if you've tried a Fiano that you've liked, please let me know in the comments. Let me know the producer and what country it was from. Probably it was from Italy because that is the most common, but maybe let me know if it was a specific DOC if you know it. Cheers.